This is basically, I kind of led the extension team, but it was certainly a collaborative effort. And I'm kind of looking at our final report that Terrence and the team wrote up for NIFA, and their take was how have results been disseminated to the communities of interest, so AKA extension work. I think we had a pretty good team here. Like I said, I'll go through this pretty quick. Washington, Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania, myself in Massachusetts, and North Carolina. I'm sure there's some people there that have done some extension work and talked at grower meetings and presentations that aren't listed there. So everybody, the researchers, the engineers, I'm sure have all been part of the extension work that's gone on too. So I want to thank them and don't want to leave anybody out. So in terms of our report, basically what we broke it down into was publications, presentations, and products. And I'm going to address those individually. In terms of publications, these are primarily the scientific peer-reviewed publications in both, horticulture and industry publications. Example here is you heard from Todd Einhorn about the fruitlet size distribution model. This is a scientific publication. I'm going to give a shout out to our website, which I'll talk about a little bit more afterwards, pacman.extension.org. But the list of publications, there's about 45. And if anybody amongst the team wants to check that and make sure one of their publications is not left out, let me know and I'll add it. So that's right there on our website. Here's an example of American Society for Horticultural Science publication that is there. These publications, I'm sure some of you would enjoy reading those. I don't generally enjoy them, but I will try to read them. But they're pretty dense, meant for the scientific researcher audience. But they're there, and many of them now, are available to anybody to download. Some of them there's a paywall, others not so much. But also, the Cornell group in particular has been pretty good about putting publications on the PACMAN work in the Fruit Quarterly, which is their local publication. All the past issues of Fruit Quarterly are available on the New York State Horticultural Society website. Just look up Cornell Fruit Quarterly and you'll find it. Again, these are a little bit written more for the general audience, but they're basically still science publications, and they're all listed on that PACMAN website under the publications link. So, all right, that's publications. In terms of presentations, I mean, there's been lots and lots. And on our final report, there was a bunch of text describing all the different presentations that the cooperators have made to mostly grower audience, at meetings, International Fruit Tree Association, etc. So again, all the states are represented. I didn't even want to try and count how many presentations there were because there were too many to count and there wasn't a list, so to speak of. But there was a lot. And including in New York, this is Mike Bastow on a nice summer day in New York. There's some not so great days, although that day could have been worse, I suppose. But, subjects, PACMAN was the subject at these meetings. In Pennsylvania, they sent me, Long Hay sent me some really nice PowerPoint slides here highlighting a couple of their presentations. This one in 2023 with 40 growers, extension educators, other industry stakeholders. You can see Vivid Machines was there. The drones were there. Here's another one where they were looking at some of the precision spraying techniques. So Pennsylvania, New York, Michigan. Emily Lavely sent me some pictures. Michigan, again, has some nice days. And I believe they had 2 or 3 nice grower field days where they presented the results of PACMAN. They also had some that weren't so great weather-wise, but again, it could have been worse in the middle of the winter. So Washington, didn't get any pictures from Washington, but Tori Schmidt sent me some of their outreach products, and I'm going to read briefly what he told me. The biggest highlights from my side were the July 2023 field day with 100 plus attendees at the WSU Sunrise Research Orchard. And then in February of 2024, some of you I'm sure were there. There was a tech workshop for the IFTA annual meeting in Yakima with about 150 attendants. Both events put the key digital vision tech vendors in direct contact with growers and other reports on PACMAN activities. North Carolina, I just got this from Tom Kahn last night. That's okay. I'm not sure if they have a goose problem there too, but maybe. Anyway, they've done some nice work with grower meetings talking about their PACMAN research, including, oh geez, my mind is shot already, but Jimmy Larson, who's now at Utah State, talking about the work they did probably with their little infrared meter there. So in Massachusetts, here I did one or two grower meetings highlighting some of the drone work I did with outfield, and I've also just talked about precision crop load management, precision pruning, precision thinning, precision hand thinning, et cetera, over the course of numerous meetings with growers I've had here in Massachusetts. So as you can see, I think we did a lot of presentations over the 3 or 4 years of this project in all the locations, and they were great. I think those presentations direct to growers in the field have a lot of impact. All right, products. This is a little more wishy-washy. These were the products that were kind of listed in our final report. You already heard Todd Einhorn talk about the fruit size distribution model. And you heard Yu Jiang talk at Cornell about some of the work they're doing with their software packages, et cetera, et cetera. And then I think one of the enduring products is hopefully our website, pacman.extension.org. Here again, I didn't realize Todd was going to talk about it at length, but he did. The point here is this is available on the PACMAN website, okay? The how-to guide is there. There's a link to download the instructions and a link to download the Excel spreadsheet. So this is a product that anybody can use if they want to. I've done it. I kind of highly recommend it. There's a little learning curve to it, but I think it works really well. And what I like doing is going out and collecting the little fruitlets and bringing them back in the lab, sitting in the air conditioning and weighing them versus trying to measure them with the caliper in the field. I think this method is perhaps superior. So there's that, but it's all there, a product. And then here's an example which Todd already showed you of the output. Another product, and again, this is probably meant more for the engineering audience, and you just talked about it, some of their work with apple tree architecture. This is beyond me and above my head, but I'm assuming that this kind of product can be used by industry professionals, other researchers at universities, et cetera, to further kind of do and refine this kind of work. Like I said, a little bit beyond my comprehension, but it is a product, certainly. And it's in their publications. I'm sure that they can explain it to their peers. I wanted to mention also on the PACMAN website, we did in 2023, we did a whole series of industry briefings where the industry reps came in. I think some of the researchers talked about their research. This was kind of mid-PACMAN. Industry people were there. It's all on, I believe it's the Cornell website, but on the PACMAN website, there is a link to it under the posts. And my point is, here's the YouTube playlist. You can get to it from pacman.extension.org and get a link to that YouTube playlist and watch it. So let me just move on to pacman.extension.org. Don't forget that. From 2021 to 26, there's basically, I developed 8 pages. They're listed across the top there. That's kind of a navigational menu. But the 50 posts, the posts are kind of like where you post an article or something. And they're chronological. They're not particularly well organized. But don't forget, this whole thing is searchable. In the upper right, there is a little search icon, hourglass, or whatever you call it, magnifying glass. So like if you wanted to find Todd's fruit size distribution model, you could just search for Einhorn and probably find it, or any of the other researchers. So there's 50 of those posts. Before I get to that, I just did want to mention most of our audience comes from the United States, some from Canada, some from Europe, some from Australia, and some from China. I'm not going to delve into this, just wanted to bring it up. We've had 9,400 views of the website with 4,300 individual visitors. For some reason, 2023 was at its peak and it's kind of been going down a little bit, but just gives you an idea of how many visitors we've had. in terms of the pages, I won't get into this. The home page has been most viewed. The posts next most, extension, research down the list. I won't get into the referrers at all. So here's the home page about the navigational menu across the top. I want to mention that the posts list is probably the most informational and useful because that's where all our publications and articles have been kind of archived there. For example, the last post list was this webinar where you could go and click the link to register for it. At the bottom, you can see and navigate. There's 17 pages with all these posts, so you can click through them, just see a quick summary of the post, and then go and click the link and read the whole post. There's a pretty big diversity of stuff I've put there, ranging again from outputs of this project. There's a couple of industry magazine articles that I put there. Um, Unclear to me the best way to organize it. I think, again, search is what everybody does mostly nowadays, but there's a lot of stuff there. If you're bored in the evening, click through it and take a look. I think you'll find something that is of interest to you. And finally, I just thank you to the team. If I missed your picture up there, you're probably just as happy to not have it, but it's been a real pleasure to work with them, and I've learned a lot and enjoyed through the process. Kind of sorry to see the project end, but I think Terrence and a couple of you are going to talk a little bit more about where they're going to go from here. So if there's any questions, that's all I have, Craig and Terrence.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Jon.
John.